Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to that of the Stars and Stripes throwback season for season 6. Last week, the drivers got to test out some short track racing action with a little sneak peek of what iRacing is gifting the drivers. A lot of horsepower, a lot of slipping and sliding, but tonight they're back to traditional racing. The horsepower is back to the same, and it's time for the Shamrock 200 at the mile-and-a-half course of Chicagoland. The drivers are just gotten done with practice in the middle of qualifying currently, and they're ready to see who is going to be topping the board here tonight. This race has been ran 3 times previously, and it has been a great show every single time. Again, welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is going to be Zach Hall. Zach, man, that preview last week of seeing the 800 horsepower Gen 4 machines was incredible to watch, but tonight we bring it back, and it's time to see some traditional racing of the mile and a halves.
That it is. It's back, man, and we'll see how it works out here tonight with that change back up for these drivers. It was a short track last week, so I don't think they're too thrown off from the change back to the lower horsepower here, but just a really cool sight to see him come to Chicagoland. I know this track not in use in the real life racing arena, so kind of sad to see it go there, but that's the beauty of iRacing. I've always said that we can have tracks that aren't currently having racing on them, but we can have racing here ourselves due to it being in the service. And this is definitely one of my favorites as a driver, I know. So I'm expecting a lot of drivers to come in here with this one kind of circled as a track that maybe they could really get figured out because of how old, bumpy, and tough this surface is. It can really make the finesse of being a driver that much more important.
And as well, multi-groove racing and driver is going to be searching all over the place for that extra little bit of speed. And currently right now, like we said, under qualifying currently, as you can see, the 66 of that of George Kovacic going to be putting down their final time for qualifying. The 66th, 4th on the board, now going to drop to that of 5th as Zach Kreitz now tops it as drivers, about half the field still able to put in a time at this moment. As here's the 8 machine of Jason Gradden about to start off his first lap here for qualifying.
And if you look back to Atlanta, you know, that surface is so old. They ran the older 2008 version of Atlanta here earlier in the season. Zach Kreitz, he was one of the fastest and one of the best drivers on the long run. So I think that's kind of carried over here tonight for him and doing a great job so far in qualifying and having a sizable gap, about 64 thousandths of a second over the next driver of Ross Tatum. And as I say that, Kyle McCoy there, the 3-time champ, he pops up the second on the board.
I mean, he certainly has gotten a great time for the 28 machine. Here comes Jason Gradden, first time for the 8 Bud machine as he comes across the line. Gonna be finding himself searching for a little bit something more. 11th after that first lap, but gonna be going up to the high line. Zach talked about different lanes being utilized, and the 8 feeling like the outside lane is where the speed's at.
From what I've seen, a lot of drivers have utilized that outside lane here so far in qualifying through 1 and 2. So cool to see the different lanes working. And look, he goes straight to the top, even in 3 and 4 here. We'll see what the lap time produces here around this spectacular racing circuit as he crosses the line. It's going to be Jason Gradden. Looks like not improving. Improving a little bit on that lap up to 8th for him. So a good little pickup, but it's just showing, like you said, Sam, about multi-groove racing. We're going to have that throughout the night. Drivers picking and choosing where to be. As we see Andrew Medlin here, he is on the bottom lane.
Andrew Medlin going to be seeing how this 18 final lap is already complete. Going to be testing out getting into pit road. A driver that's been on a tear for qualifying attempts. Going to be seeing that of Joshua Robinson. Last time he got a pole award was back at Las Vegas 2 weeks ago. His other pole award was at Rockingham a few weeks, almost a month ago. And going to be seeing how this 10 machine is going to put himself in the best position possible. First lap going to be on the outside lane, try to build up the momentum here for that last attempt as the 10 comes across the line. Where will he start? As a driver that's shocking the boards, Diego Valle is 7th currently for the 77 as Joshua Robinson starts his final lap.
Final lap for Robinson. He goes straight to the bottom here for 1 and 2. So a little opposite of what we've seen so far from a few other drivers. We'll see what type of time it creates because this is that second qualifying lap for him. It seems like that's where the speed has been. And also, once again, dropping to the bottom in 3 and 4. So completely opposite than what we saw from Jason Gradden. Let's see if the speed is there in the 10 because, like you said, he has been so fast in qualifying so far. And it's a 31.38. That's going to put him up to 4th on the board. Not all the way what he needed, but still a great qualifying effort from the 10 team.
Hey, this has been a great growing aspect from that of Joshua Robinson. You look back to those first, 3 to 4 races of the season. It was a tough pill to swallow when you expected a lot from the 10, and he was struggling just to qualify inside of the top 15. So fourth place, not too bad for himself, but as qualifying is done, let's take a look at the starting results here for the Shamrock 200 at Chicagoland. Race number 11 for these drivers as we're on the final push for that of the playoffs to see who will make it in. Only 12 drivers make it into the playoffs, and tonight could be an aspect. If you win, you could be locked in to those playoffs. But taking the top of the board, Zach Kreitz in the 9. Great run for himself. Gonna be Kyle McCoy in second place, Ross Tatum in third, Joshua Robinson in fourth with Dylan Grimm in fifth. Kyle Bowling's gonna be having a top 10 qualifying run for the 24 in sixth position. Scott Rickard down in seventh. Diego Valle actually gonna be up down to that of eighth position, but one of his best qualifying runs of the season for the 77. Thomas Ogle gonna be in ninth, and Tim McNally finishing out your top 10.
In the 11th position, it's going to be the 8 car, Jason Gratton. Dylan Glass going to start 12th. 13th is going to be Will Bustler, with Trey Jackson starting alongside him in 14th. 15th is going to be Christopher Wade, with 16th going to the 66 of George Kovacic. 17th is going to be Aaron Hell. 18th is going to go to Andrew Medlin. Mike Lynch will be in the 19th starting position. 20th is going to be Nate Lynch, and 21st is going to be Brian Lynch. 22nd, Jonathan Woods, and rounding out the field, one of our up-and-comers this season, Juan Jimenez in the 48 and 23rd.
Jimenez, only driver to not put in a time, so he'll have to try to work his way through. 23 drivers, 133 laps. These drivers are going to have 3 extra tires in pit, extra sets of tires in pit road to work with no fast repair. And Zaga, I threw out the fact that this is the 3rd time these drivers have been at Chicagoland. The last 2 times they've been here, no cautions have been thrown, but the very first time these drivers ran, it was in this car, season 1. There were 9 cautions. So which type of Chicagoland are we going to get? Are we going to get the chaotic season 1 Chicagoland, or are we going to get the tame and calm, that of no cautions? Ran here, and Zagas are taking off. I think that's one of the crazier things. We've seen this before with these drivers in past seasons of races that have maybe 1 to 2 or no cautions at all. But here at Chicagoland, last two races, no cautions. Very surprising stat to see.
That is very surprising. This track does spread out a lot. The multi-group racing allows for different lanes to be utilized, and I think that helps the case for it going green, so you have plenty of racing room around the racetrack. You're not just stuck behind someone in a single file line, so you do have those opportunities available to you as a driver. But we could get that season 1 action here. You never know, it could, because it's going to be tough out there, hot and slick here tonight, and we're going to see drivers fighting for the grip level. I would not be surprised if we go all the way green, but I would not be also surprised if we had a few yellows mixed in there to shake these things up.
Well, the driver is up front. Zach Kreitz, first pole for himself. Best starting position before was 3rd. That was all the way back at Daytona. But tonight, the 9 hoping to be up front. He's been great on the long run. Let's see what the short run speed is for himself, as well as Kyle McCoy going to be in his outside. Green flag in the air. The Shamrock 200 here at Chicagoland is green as the drivers head down into turn number 1.
Dead even start up front. It's going to be Kreitz on the bottom, McCoy up top. What lane will take off here off of 2 will be the question. It's going to be Kreitz fighting hard on the bottom, but that outside lane has the momentum, and it looks like McCoy going to be able to pull dead even before they get to 3.
As you can tell by that shot, the backstretch not completely straight. Has that banking. Drivers got to be aware coming into the entry of the corner, but already seeing multi-groove racing as on the exit of 4, side by side for the lead, and it's Kyle McCoy going to lead lap number 1. Deeper in the field, going to be still side by side, almost 3 wide at moments, but it's the 28 taking the lead position, and our top 4 single filing out.
That multi-groove action is starting to pop off for sure back there around Kyle Bowling in the 24 machine. You got the 77 of Diego Valle, like you brought up, Sam, one of his best qualifying runs we've seen so far. That means to watch out for him. If he was able to qualify well, we always know he races better, and if he can improve on that speed he showed in qualifying, he'll be right up in the mix, as it's been a tough few weeks when it comes to those races for that 77 when it comes to the speed being shown. So we'll see if he can pick back up where he left off. And also, you can't forget too much about Scott Rickard. I mean, he started off this season better than anybody.
He really did. He was one of the hottest drivers to watch out for, and as you can see, still almost 3 wide racing deeper in the field. But our front runners single filing out at the moment, but here's the first side-by-side action. Gonna be the 6 of Will Bustler and as well the 8 of Jason Grattan. This is for 11th place as the 6 machine tries to get a good run for himself, trying to attack as it's still a gaggle of cars that just cannot get away from one another.
This track is so abrasive and it wears the tires out so quickly that I am going to be very interested to see how it plays out with some of these drivers trying to move their way forward from starting farther back. Will they struggle as the run goes on? We've seen it happen a few times throughout the season with this ARCA car. These drivers are going to have to figure that out very quickly, and like we were talking about, this could go all the way green. If you don't have that chance and that opportunity to get a caution in this race to bring you back in, you could very well mess up this first run and take you out of contention from anything later in this race.
When we talk about these mile-and-a-half racetracks, especially almost every single one that we've gone to, there's been the ebbs and flows, an accordion effect, you could say, of drivers pulling away, then coming back to one another, then pulling away again. We're going to be seeing that aspect here already slightly being shown as drivers already in save mode. As you see here, the 12 machine Tim McNally trying to make his way forward, but he's lost 4 positions, going with a little bit of a safe route. We'll see when he can attack and move up forward, but in front of this 12 machine, it's the 10 that is right now in 10th place. It's Joshua Robinson, as well as Thomas Ogle, Dylan Glass. These 3 drivers stacking it up as we ride on the back bumper of the 10 machine.
The 10 machine always seems to drop back once the race starts. He does not seem to like to really use up those tires. His strategy always seems to be conserve, conserve, conserve. But we've seen it come back to bite him a few times where he's conserved a little too much and it's not came back around to help him. So I think he's got to find that happy balance, but they're wrecking behind him. Luckily, they keep it straight. The 12 of McNally and the 15 Wade were the ones who made contact, but I think the 12 is going to be the one that's worse off here with how heavy the collision he made off of 4.
Just came up, was not clear on the 15's bumper, and got into the outside wall for that of the 15, losing some time. Tim McNally, the worst of it, into the outside wall. No required damage flag for the 12, but visible damage on the right side. That is going to be our hurt machine, trying to just survive throughout the rest of this race. Christopher Wade, though, Zach, doesn't look like there's as much damage for the 15, but certainly loss of time for that situation.
Wade definitely came out of that a lot better than Timmy McNally. McNally with a huge collision to the outside wall that propelled him there from that contact, sliding up into that 15. So tough breaks for both of them because damage is something you don't want at these high-speed intermediate racetracks like this, and they will be suffering from that throughout the night. So we'll have to keep up like on the conditions of those cars, but right now we're seeing Scott Rickard in the 32 machine from Zach Kreitz here in the 9 machine, our pole setter. We're seeing that front 6 start to drive away here a little bit. I'm wondering if Kreitz is looking to play a similar strategy that he played at Atlanta, being just that much quicker on the long runs.
He was the fastest driver on the long run. It was incredible to watch that Atlanta race and how well that 9 was able to even just fall back deep in the field and climb his way forward to catch up to our front runners. It was around that when drivers decided to make their pit stops in the middle of the pit cycle when the 9 took the lead and was one of the drivers to really watch out for. But you know, this top 6 pulling away. This is a very strong top 6 we have here. Kyle McCoy, Diego Valle, who's moved up 6 positions from the start of the race. Dylan Graham, Ross Tatum, Scott Rickard, and Kyle Bowling. It's great to see the 24 running as well as he is, but it's the 77 Zach bringing back the speed that he had back in the beginning of the season, where he was just a shining star and was one of the biggest drivers that we were cheering on the most. Great qualifying here tonight in 8th place, up 6 positions, and he thought he was going to go for the lead, but I am concerned for the tires. He was ripping the top from the majority of the beginning of this run. Could be something to watch out for here in the next about 5 to 6 laps.
I've seen a lot of drivers making speed and qualifying up top, so I do have concerns, like you said, Sam, about what does the tire wear look like up there, because we have not seen anybody other than Diego in our top 6 that has looked to venture up to that top side and utilize it. So that does tell me that there is concerns with these drivers going all the way to the top side. And the reason for that being out there, folks, is you just carry a ton more speed. You're always going to have more load and more weight generated onto those tires, which is only in its case going to make the tire wear worse, as it's just going to rub that tire off into that asphalt. So he's doing it once again. I do have concerns for that, though. As this run continues on, I think you could see the 77 fade, or we'll see maybe the opposite. It is always different sometimes at different tracks, but traditionally the outside line does seem to wear those tires out a good bit.
And there might be one driver you're questioning, well, where is he? That is Andrew Hess. It was on a vacation for himself. The 5 machine not able to show up here tonight. And he was one of the drivers that was, you look at the stats, one of the best that average starts and finishes. He is going to have to go with provisional for the 5 machine, not running here tonight. But he did win already and has had enough starts that he should be good to be locked into that of the playoffs. As seeing some drivers making some moves, and it is getting chaotic up front. 3 wide right now for second place. It's a stacked 3 wide. Ross Tatum trying to be the most aggressive in the 21. Here comes that of Scott Rickard on the inside. Dylan Grimm making the middle work as he's going to be now side by side for second place. And Kyle McCoy's loving this because he's now gapped out to almost a full second lead as they've been side by side for second and as well as for fourth.
He's done a good job of getting that gap, and Ross Tatum almost clearing for the second position there and trying to slide up in front of the 17, but the run was too much from the outside for Grimm to hold on. And what started all this stack up right here was this 77 of Valle. He got up into a wall off of turn 2. It checked him up. That allowed the 3 wide action to happen because Grimm, I believe, had to lift also for the 77 getting into the wall, and that allowed Tatum to get to his inside. So right here, it's definitely a little bit of a mix-up, but I think that 77 is already starting to struggle a little bit with the right front. And look, now Rickard even moving up top, and Grimm trying to hold on to second, moving all the way to the wall.
And this is now allowing that group of 6 to turn into a group of 7 as Zach Kreitz is starting to slowly chip away on this group. But 77, he is almost in the outside wall in the start of his apex into the corner. And here's the pitch, a little bit of contact, holding on. It's going to be that of Ross Tatum. And Scott Rickard giving it a little tap, and that could have been a messy run on the exit of 4, but just showing the skill level by these drivers to hold on to that, what could have been a massive mess.
It could have been very easily our first caution of this evening here, but luckily Ross Tatum, great quick hands, able to hold on to that machine. And look at Scott Rickard. He's going to have no prisoners right now. He's trying to take over that 3rd position from Diego Valle after ripping the wall. Now he's going to shoot to the middle and even off the bottom of 4 here and try to make the move for 3rd.
Trying to make the move for 3rd place, and looking to be side by side. Dylan Grimm doing a great job holding on. 17 laps into our 133. If it's your first time watching the Stars and Stripes, there are no stage breaks for these drivers. We could go green all the way to the end of this race. And so for these drivers, they're recognizing you have to maximize your track position, stay up front. That's why we're seeing some of these gutsy moves in the early going, not trying to lose any ground. As here comes our pole sitter. He gave up all the position from the lead back to 7th place, and now making his pass up to 6th. Will this be the charge? That last lap wasn't as fast as some of the other drivers in front of him, but Zach, it seems to be the final call for the 9 machine. He wants to get moving as the outside lane got a little claustrophobic up there with that of Scott Rickard, Ross Tatum, and Valle.
Ooh, it's stacked up big time once again, and just when you get tight off the exits of these corners, drivers are having to lift very quickly, and when they lift, it is causing big checkups that are allowing moves to be made. And right now, Valle trying to fight back on the inside on Scott Rickard and make his way forward. But like you said, Kreitz is going forward right now as he's gotten past that 24 machine, and he's actually just about as quick as our top 2 positions. So maybe the 9 will have something for our leaders. Is now Tatum with a good run through the bottom of off 1 and 2, and he's able to almost take control of this 4th position as he's trying to get past Valle, one of the biggest movers so far. But it seems like all that moving around has really caught him out.
And this top 7 group has been giving us a great show up front on how they can run around this course. You look deeper, though, this is the battling for 9th, 10th, and also that of 11th place. And here's a couple of drivers that are still trying to make their move forward. Joshua Robinson, who qualified 4th. And we talked about Zach, the fact that he sometimes gives up maybe a little bit too much track position. I think that's exactly what he did here tonight. He's trying to catch up to that lead pack, but trapped with the side-by-side battle between the 6 and the 31.
Yeah, the 31 and Joshua Robinson in the 10, they both were actually the 2nd and 3rd fastest cars on the track the last time by. So they have speed, but like you said, they've just given up a lot of time. 3.5 seconds back from leader Kyle McCoy. It's going to be tough to try to make all that time back up after saving this. And it is the fine balance that I think you have to find in this ARCA car, especially with this 550 package. There's not a ton of drop off. It kind of drops off and then evens out. And when it does that, you have to save just the perfect amount. You can't, be a Diego Valle where you burn up your tires and then you drop back very quickly. And you also can't be a Joshua Robinson where you save and give up so much time that it really comes back to where you can't gain back the time you've given up. So it's one of those things where you got to hit that happy medium.
Gotta find the medium ground as these 4 drivers gonna get in line, but the one lone soldier by himself in 12th place, biggest mover so far, as that's gonna be the 41 of Jonathan Woods. Jonathan Woods qualified that of 22nd position, was the slowest of all drivers that actually put in a time during qualifying, and he's up 12th position. A great recovery run, currently right now running just as fast as our top 7. So this is a great showing by the 41 that's slowly chipping away, trying to close in on that group of 4. Then behind him, you see the side-by-side action. It's Juan Jimenez as well as Trey Jackson, and also going to be Aaron Hale side by side with one another. This is all the great battling for 13th, 14th, and 15th position. And Juan going to be also tied with the biggest mover of 10 positions. You see all 3 lanes being utilized there on the exit of turn 2.
Every single lane utilized for speed for sure. And that 48 of Jimenez, he's been so quick so far this season just to start off. And now, once again, showing how well he's doing moving through the field. But Aaron Hill, he's not giving up. He made that move back on him into 3 and 4. But now Jimenez back to the inside. So they're just flip-flopping right now for that 13th position. This is some great racing we're getting here early in this event on lap 24. And if he gets tight right there, he's got to lift a little bit. That's going to open up the door for Andrew Medlin possibly.
Hey, we talked about the fact that these drivers are moving forward for some, and we are now 24 laps into this run, and we've seen it at other mile-and-a-half tracks where you start to see the wear and tear. We saw on other tracks it was the looseness out of the corner. Chicagoland here, Zach, though, talking about how for some drivers this is one of their favorite tracks to go to, but what's so different between Chicagoland and maybe some of the other mile-and-a-half tracks that we go to?
It is very different, actually. This track, I mean, first off the surface, you can see it in just the coloration of it. It is very light in color, and that means it's very worn out. The asphalt has changed into a light gray, and that is kind of added in a good bit of character to the racetrack, but also the multi-groove here. You got to really have the ability to search for the grip. And I think that's why sometimes you see dirt racers sometimes be very good at this track, because it's a track where you can make speed in different spots, but if you make speed in the wrong areas, you can easily hurt the tires also. So it's a track that I think takes a lot of finesse. There's just plenty of options all around, and I think that kind of makes it one of those driver tracks where you have the ability to figure things out as the run goes on and find where your car works best. So I know personally I love it myself. It's just a track that has always seemed like it puts on a great show and just has the ability to give, again, the driver's options. And when you're a driver, that's all you can ask for.
Those options are always nice to have. The driver that had to opt out to his own opinion, Timmy McNally, after being caught up with a little bit of a wall smack between himself and Christopher Wade, the 12, just 2 damage, came in on his own accord, was not required to come in, but obviously too much damage for him to be handling here, as this is what the back half of the field looks like, as the 1 of Nate Lynch, Dylan Glass, could be having some fun slicing and dicing on the exit of turn 2. Into turn number 3, the 1 wants to be making the charge forward, and I'm looking at the lap times. I mean, Zach, Nate Lynch might have been backing off a little bit too much to battle for the lead, but he certainly is trying to make a late charge here in the middle of this fuel run for these drivers.
No doubt, yeah. I just seen the lap times flicking through too for him in the one machine. Yeah, he's showing tons of speed. I mean, really, the only drivers that are faster than him are, looks like, or around the same speed as Ross Tatum and Scott Rickard, both of those 3 in the 33-1 area. And so they're looking to make the most speed.
Looking to make the most speed right here, as you're going to be seeing that Juan Jimenez as well as Aaron Hale going to be almost on top of one another. The 1 making the outside lane work for himself, as Trey Jackson going to be just surviving for the 25. But behind that 25 machine, Dylan Glass is going to be under some stress, because as the 1 is going forward, same as the 22, it's going to be that of Brian Lynch that has saved enough tires to have some extra speed. The 22 not out of the mix here, as again, all these drivers trying to get past the 40 machine of Aaron Hale, but this pack about that of 7 seconds off of our leader, which our leader starting to slowly get caught and ran down by Dylan Grimm in the 17, as that battle for the lead is just about under 3/10 for themselves.
It is definitely getting close up front. Grimm has slowly but surely work the gap down, and you can see it's only a couple car lengths separating our top two for position. And I have been watching it. Grimm is not that much faster, but he's just more consistent. And right there off of 4, I just seen a lot of nose slide there for that 28. That tells me that right front tire is definitely a little warm right now. And Grimm, with a very quick last lap, he's able to get very close to him. And now we're going to see McCoy move up the racetrack here in 1 and 2. That's actually a good sign for Grimm. That's going to allow him to get some of that clean air on the bottom and be able to run the line that he prefers.
And we look at Grimm's past history for this season. You look at the 1.5 miles, it has not been a pretty story for the 17 machine. He has finished way outside of where he wants to be. His worst finish is going to be 23rd at Atlanta. Then he finished 21st at Las Vegas. At Homestead, he was 14th. And Texas was his best, finished 8th. That was earlier in the season for race number 2. So the 17 trying to bring in a little bit of great runs, and some of those better runs have been at racetracks. There's a lot of wear and tear on the tires. So the 17's hoping for that magic, as his best finish so far was 3rd place at Dover. But tonight, keeping it close with Kyle McCoy. And if you can keep it close with Kyle McCoy, you know you're doing something right when you're 30 laps into a run.
And I know Kyle McCoy, he prefers this racetrack. This is a track that really suits his style, so to speak. So for him to be running Kyle McCoy down, that is a good sign. And, you know, with Grimm, hasn't had the finishes like you brought up there, Sam, but he has had speed on these 1.5 miles. I just always feel like it's just slipped away late in the race with either strategy or just a bad ending run of the race. So he's got to make sure to carry this through the whole race. But it does look good for the 17 so far, as he's been able to close it back down within 0.2 of a second here. And the thing that makes this so tough is just he's caught him now, but catching someone is completely different than passing someone, because now you got to find the speed to be able to make that pass on him. And that clean air is so valuable. Luckily for him, again, it's McCoy going up to the top of the wall here, but it's going to be tough to make the pass on the bottom with the momentum that you can carry up top there in that 28 machine.
As the 28 machine of Kyle McCoy continues to try to run his own race now to the middle groove, as they're not going down to the white line anymore, trying to search on where the speed is at. And Dylan Grimm now on the back bumper of Kyle McCoy. McCoy, when we look at this track in the past, the 3 races that it ran before, McCoy won the very first race here. It was in dominant fashion, led 93 laps of the 128. There were 9 cautions then, but tonight it is going to be that of the 17 to the inside, trying to make the pass. Less than 100 laps to go, and Dylan Grimm wanting to lead here at Chicagoland. He's going to be down on the white line. These drivers feeling a little bit more comfortable in the middle groove because of the wear and tear. Kyle McCoy almost scraping the wall off the exit of the corner, but he keeps the speed and keeps the lead.
Flirting with disaster there on the exit of 4, man. That could have been a major hit for him, but he's able to keep the lead there. That's the most important thing. And right now, Grimm doing a good job working that bottom there in 1 and 2. Has the clean air available to him. Now, off the exit, that 28 is going to have the advantage, but the time he gains through the center, or entry to center there, is helping that 17 close down the gap. And right here, I think this is where Grimm is just a little bit better overall, is through 3 and 4. It seems like the 28 always losing the nose there compared to the 17. But with this battle even happening, they could be seeing someone like Ross Tatum or even Zach Kreitz, who now has gotten past Scott Rickard for the 4th position. He's actually starting to look for 3rd.
Yeah, starting to see the gap growing, as you can see the battle in the back of the shot. Now we zoom into it. The 9 trying to get a better launch out of the exit of turn 2. Going to be right on the quarter panel. Not going to keep it side by side, but setting up for a better launch out of turn 4. As Kreitz just about a half a car length over, trying to get a little bit of fresh air on that front nose. There's the run that he wanted off the exit of the corner, but it's the setup. Can you make this dive bomb slide job move work? Down into turn number 1, the 9 machine throws it to the inside groove to the white line. Ross Tatum trying to make the 3rd lane have a little bit extra speed, and you can just see the extra grip on the outer groove allows the 21 to keep that position.
It's going to be so tough. So the 9 is really going to have to find a way to roll that bottom groove and make the speed work, or even try to get Ross Tatum's outside. That is one thing that the driver Ross Tatum is going to look to defend the most. He's saying, take the inside, go down there as much as you want, but I'm going to try to hold my own down here on the bottom. And it's just how you look to defend at these racetracks when the momentum is so strong up top. And right now, Valle having the same case there with the 24, Kyle Bowling, who's trying to make the bottom work. Valle very close to the wall. That's going to allow the 24 there to keep it almost to the quarter panel. And this will be a good chance for Bowling to get this move done here down at 3 and 4. If he can just clear the 77 here before exit, he'll have a good shot of holding on to the position.
Wasn't able to fully clear. Going to be still a little bit of a nose over the 24. There's going to be the closing break. They're going to keep it side by side. Advantage to the 24 on the entry of turn 1. As that Kyle Bowling trying to go a little bit more aggressive, but he actually goes a little bit more passive, trying to help with the exit speed. Slower entry, fast exit, and they're going to keep it side by side, drag stripping their way down into turn number 3. And Zach, Diego Valle, this is great to see the 77 up front. Now I'm curious on when we see these drivers come into pit road. But we have some news come back out in the field. Tim McNally has called it a night, and also newcomer to the DNF, a loss of packets going to be that of Juan Jimenez, showing that is going to be an internet issue for the 48, and he is out of tonight's race.
Always such a heartbreaking moment for when you see a driver have that, drop due to packet loss. And we don't have engine failures, random, moments where our engines just fail, our car breaks, but we do have those technical issues with internet, with a computer having issues. So I feel like that's our kind of mechanical issues that we can have as sim racers, and it's always tough when you see that take out one of the definitely up and coming drivers also of this league. So tough break for Jimenez, but he'll come back strong next week for sure. As we've seen the two there, Mike Lynch, he made the pass for 17th on Brian Lynch. So that's some great family battling right there.
It is, and as well as that pass is made, Mike Lynch has been a lot more patient on seeing how this race is going to run for himself. Is battling for 17th position, but talked about the fact the last 2 races there's not been a caution. I feel like we're going to see one. It could be for the battle for 10th place. Is that of Joshua Robinson, Jonathan Woods. We're almost bump drafting on the exit of the corner. The 41 wanting to keep moving forward. Our biggest mover of the day, up 11 positions, but he is going to be trying his heart out to get by the 10. Who's going to stick to the bottom, allowing the 41 to the outside, but he's almost brushing into the outside wall. Will get in the wall, now bouncing down and almost collecting the 8. Resettle, and it's Joshua Robinson holding again for 10th position, but for how long? Will Bustler now chasing Grattan back on the attack.
He has lots of drivers attacking him at the moment, and tough break there for Jonathan Woods into the wall. And it's just one of those things where you get into the wall and you just can't get back out of it. So saw him try to turn left and get off of it, and he kind of bounced off of it and luckily got himself out of it, but lost a ton of ground. But here comes Will Bustler ripping the top, having the momentum. He's going to have to let the cross back under this 10, but luckily he's got the 8 to his inside, so that's going to stop him from doing that. So tough break for Bustler there, but some great racing going on here.
Absolute great racing in this battle for position, but into pit road, going to be some of our front runners. It's going to be that of seeing Diego Valle as well as Dylan Grimm and Andrew Medlin. 3 drivers entering pit road, and Dylan Grimm, Zach, he was battling for the lead, deciding to come into pit road early. The undercut decision. Now Scott Rickard over the radio. He's coming into pit road. It's time for the pit cycle to begin.
I like this strategy from the 17 team. He was stuck behind Kyle McCoy, drove up to him, just couldn't never make nothing work, was stuck really in the dirty air for a majority of that run. Couldn't make anything work behind him. Comes to pit road, now going to get the undercut on him and see if he can jump Kyle McCoy, who has immediately responded to that, and just looks like he's coming to pit road too. So he feels like he wants to try to hold on to that lead.
And behind that of going to be our leader coming into pit road. Going to be also seeing some slight mistakes of that of Scott Rickard sliding into his pit entry. Somehow didn't get caught with an unsafe pit entry, lucked into that motion, as well as going to be seeing that of Kyle McCoy and Kyle Bowling join in that fray. This next go around going to be Thomas Ogle as well as Joshua Robinson, Will Bustler. As the whole entire field comes into pit road, you get a look at those hands as Robinson gets his way into pit road.
Robinson here, we'll see if he can do a good job here on pit road to be able to hold on to some spots and look to do what he can to push himself back up there after starting 4th here again, losing positions early in this race and not making up, I think, what he wanted there on the longer run of the side of things. But I can confirm to everybody out there, Dylan Grimm, he has made the pass, and he is a good bit ahead of Kyle McCoy. So Grimm had an excellent job through the pit road sequence.
Now for Dylan Graham, got to make sure that he keeps this lead and doesn't just wear out those tires. As Jonathan Woods now into pit road. This is leaving us with 7 drivers still needing to come in and get their first stop made. Zach Wright's over the radio, expecting to come in. Ross Tatum, will he come in this go around? And then also that of Aaron Hale, Trey Jackson, Nate Lynch, as well as Mike Lynch. George Kovacic going to be those 7 drivers still needing to come into pit road. Here comes Zach Kreitz as Ross Tatum stays out for another lap. And for these drivers, cannot afford to get a black flag for speeding, entering pit road or under pit road. And as well, Zach, the more so important, don't slide through your box.
You cannot do that. That's major losses of time, especially when the green flag racing continuing out here. You can't slide through the box, and it's tough not to do. And Kreitz, our pole setter, looks like he gets stopped well with inside the box, and he was so quick there on the long run. Now I think you're going to see the leader now, Ross Tatum. He's going to bring it to pit road also. And this pit road is very tough. It's so abrupt and very far off to the left from the racing surface. And it makes it that much tougher for the angle coming down the pit road. And we saw Kreitz. He flirted with disaster there on the entry. But luckily for himself, he holds on to it. But we'll have to see how this longer strategy works out for these guys who have waited to come down. Will the time they gave up come back around?
And as well, the longer they stay out, the more dangerous they're going to be making some of these moves for these drivers, as Trey Jackson going to be leading the way now, as only 3 drivers need to come into pit road. Nate Lynch, Trey Jackson, as well as George Kovacic going to be coming in, and the 1 and the 66 making the call. They're coming into pit road over the radio. The 25 continues to stay out on track, as Andrew Medlin trying to make the move. Same for that of the 9 machine, and Zach, this is getting dangerous for that. It's Zach Kreitz as he gets a little wiggly in the center of the corner there.
Big slide there for a moment for him, as he's going to be out in front of the 21 of Tatum, who came down a lap later. But still a close moment, as Grattan behind him Grattan will jump ahead of Tatum also. So with this sequence strategy like this, I mean, you got guys that are well behind each other. I mean, you gave up 10 to 5 seconds here to a lot of this group by pitting later, and Trey Jackson looking to take it longer than anybody. Kind of interested to see how his strategy plays out. There's no chance, in my opinion, at making a one-stop work here with the fuel, so you're going to have to come down here soon if you're Trey Jackson, because you're going to still need one more pit stop before this race is over.
Yeah, I mean, what a time to be gutsy, though, early in the run. So if a late caution comes out, you can recover from this type of decision of staying out as late as you are, but 25 hoping to stay out, and this would be forcing a lot of drivers, if a caution hit, to be stuck 1 lap down. So for that of Trey, he's going to continue to stay for 53 laps so far out there on track, still needing to come into pit road. The battle for what should become the lead, Dylan Grimm, Kyle McCoy. Grimm is still leading by over that of a second over Kyle McCoy, and I'm actually kind of surprised there, Zach, on the fact that it is still over a second at this point.
It is very surprising, in my opinion. I thought McCoy would drive up to him pretty quickly with the 1-lap pressured tires, but you can't get baited into that. You know, as a driver, you know you have fresher tires, and you want to go up there and get back up to that driver that you were battling for the lead with before the sequence of pit stops started. But if you go out there and push too hard, you'll play into the game of Dylan Grimm, and then you'll be pretty much, once you get to him, your tires will most likely be out of the grip that you had before. So I do like that, you know, Kyle McCoy is really trying to pace himself, it seems like, and get up there. But we could see at some point the tires even out to where that advantage he has over 1 lap not even matter at some point.
And so far, if you're just joining us here tonight, your Thursday night coverage of the Stars and Stripes Throwback Season 6 of the Stars and Stripes. This is race number 11 at Chicagoland for the Shamrock 200. Currently, right now, Trey Jackson leading the way, as he still needs to come into pit road. Last driver to finish out our pit cycle. Dylan Grimm in second position should become our leader after making the pass for pitting earlier than that 28 machine we just had on screen. Scott Rickard currently in 4th place. He's going to be finding himself 3 seconds off of Dylan Grimm, but pitted on the same lap as Kyle McCoy. So these gaps are getting a lot more spread out. And here at Chicagoland, we have seen it happen before in this league where they have gone caution free. And that is where we're at currently right now. And as we're 56 laps into the run, let's take a quick commercial break, as we are going to be seeing these drivers still have one more pit stop to go before this race is done. The 25 expected to come into pit road here in the next couple of laps. But for us here up at the booth, we're going to go side by side so you don't miss a thing on Freaky Fast Broadcasting as you're watching the Stars and Stripes throwback season. We'll see you in just the other side. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as Kyle McCoy trying to make the pass and will get it to the nose of that of Dylan Grimm as the battling continues side by side. Going to be seeing Grimm doing his best, but Kyle McCoy too strong, the tires too good. And the 28 will try to hold on to the lead as you're watching the Stars and Stripes throwback season. As this throwback season is presented by ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing, and you have been missing haven't missed a single thing here tonight, as well as Next Level Racing. As Next Level Racing, best way to go get your racing rig today. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for those that have stopped in on your Thursday night to be watching that of the Stars and Stripes throwback series on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall and Zach. Kyle McCoy, that whole entire commercial break, has done a great job catching up, but he's in the same trap that he had Dylan Grimm in right before this that pit road cycle got started, where Grimm is making the outside lane work to hold off for this position.
Slowly but surely, Kyle McCoy has driven his way up to him, and I love that. You know, had the one tire lap advantage, didn't try to go put down blistering laps to go by him or nothing, just slowly worked his way into contention. But now he's feeling what Grimm felt when he caught Kyle McCoy that first run. He's feeling the pain of trying to pass around that bottom side. When you can rip that top, you really build the momentum up, and that's what the 17 has been doing here. He's been doing an excellent job of holding McCoy back, but here comes McCoy with a good run off of 4. He cannot let him get to the outside quarter pound. He's just got to let him go to the bottom, and once again, he looks to cover him off, but McCoy is going to go to the inside here. Can he pull a slider maneuver to clear the 17? Because that's going to be the key. You got to be able to clear him to slide up, hold on to that position so you have the outside going into 3. But so far, Grimm has just been good enough to hold him back.
Little bit of a wiggle there by the 28 off the exit of the corner, which is going to give Dylan Grimm the opportunity to keep a nose ahead. But down into turn number 3, Kyle McCoy continues to keep it side by side. And for Dylan Grimm, what a run it's been here this season. He has been one of the best averages starters of the season. It's been the finishes where he's been struggling, and here tonight he has already passed his most laps led this season. The other race where he led was all the way back at that of Nashville Super Speedway for the drivers. Actually Nashville Fairgrounds, where we got to see the 17 up front for just that of 14 laps. Here tonight, the 17 looking to have one of his best finishes of the season as he holds the lead and tries to pull away.
Things are clicking for that 17 machine this week as he's been able to find that lead with the undercut strategy. It seems to be working well as McCoy had a big moment there in 1 and 2 last time by and was just lost a ton of ground here to the 17. So he's weathered the storm that he needed and possibly has made the 28's tires worse than they were before, and now looking to hold on to that position. But it is Ross Tatum who is running down these two a little bit there with the fresher tires in that 21 machine, but the gaggle of cars is the next group behind Ross Tatum, about a second back, and that's Kyle Bowling, Thomas Ogle, Zach Kreitz, Scott Rickard, all stacked up on top of each other, and you're seeing some great racing happening right here.
Yeah, and right now in the thick of things, going to be the 9 machine of Zach Kreitz, who is on the same tire strategy as the 21 of Ross Tatum. Tatum pitted a lap later, actually, I take that back, as that of the 21 on the freshest of tires in 3rd place, trying to close in the gap. The next driver with freshest of tires would be this 9 machine that's trying to close in on Thomas Ogle, and this group of 4, certainly an interesting grouping to see, as different tire strategies for all these drivers, as Kyle Bowling as well as Scott Rickard all came in 29 laps ago. Then 28 laps ago was that of Thomas Ogle in 5th place in that 31 machine, and then it was the 9 that came in 26 laps ago. So the drivers certainly having their different ideas on when they wanted to come in and get some fresh rubber, but staying close to one another. 75 laps into this run, and Zach, as we are past the halfway marker for these drivers, we were talking under that commercial break for the drivers on strategy-wise. We had a feeling that the drivers still have one more pit stop to go, as Trey Jackson was not able to make it to the halfway marker, so he'll also have to come to pit road. But for these drivers, I mean, what strategies could you take, since we got to see these drivers can make it about 60 laps on fuel?
You can make it that far for sure, but I think you're going to want to pit. I mean, we saw Grimm make the strategy call there at lap 45 to come to pit road. I think you're going to look for something similar again for that group. So you know, around lap 90 will probably be when that happens. And as you can see, he's still got his hands full of Kyle McCoy here. So strategy's probably not a lot in the mind right now for Dylan Grimm. It's more about holding on to this lead position. But I think it's going to be around that lap 90 markers when you're going to see pit road get very, very busy, because there'll be 43 laps to go when that gets to that point of the race. And I think that's a good way just to split this race up. You might even see it a little bit earlier, maybe an 89, maybe 88 to make it a clean 45 to the end. But I tell you don't want to wait too long, because from what I've seen, the lap times do even out a good portion. Even though Ross Tatum, who is behind this group, is a little bit quicker right now, but I mean, he's got, you know, at least 4 to 5 laps on this group, but it's not major amounts of time that's being gained by Tatum. I think it's more than anything, he's lost time overall from where he was at before the pit stops. But man, Kyle McCoy does not give up, Sam. He is just fighting for everything right here, and I think he might clear him this time.
He's gonna throw it all the way down to the white line. Slide job move up to the hot top. But here comes Dylan Grimm. He's gonna put himself in the bottom, and this could be a missed strategy call. But Kyle McCoy gets a little bit loose. 17 trying to completely clear to move back up front. He's gonna be able to do so. Woo, well, there's the first attempt for Kyle McCoy on the slide job move. Didn't stick, but he'll resettle. Here comes the attack once again.
I knew at some point somebody was gonna have to throw the slider up here, because you catch that driver, you run on the bottom lane, you just don't have the momentum to go around him off the exits of the corner. I think if you're Kyle McCoy, you got to set him up to where he goes to the bottom like this here in 3 and 4, and you look to follow him, but at the last second you jut out, get to that right rear quarter panel. If you can get to the right rear, it's pretty much game over from what I've seen so far. But it's going to be a tough one. I mean, Grimm saw that slider coming, backed up the corner, and really got a good launch down the straightaway to completely clear the 28 after losing all his momentum by really washing up the racetrack.
Well, we've seen already Kyle McCoy wiggle periodically in this run. He is using up way more tires than he did under that original run that these drivers had. So curious for that 28. What is he thinking about doing here, as he knows that he's got a way to save tires? I mean, at least back off, cool off the tires, and then attack. That's what we saw when he backed off to over a half a second. That allowed him to have that chance for a dive bomb and slide job move. But it's 28. I mean, he's doing everything in his power to make some moves here. And like we said before, I mean, the group of 4 could be a spot where we could see a caution come up. And also another group of 4 where we could be seeing a caution flag fly was the original group that I talked about that of 40 laps ago, of the battling for 12th position, 11th position. Jonathan Woods, Jason Pratt, Will Hustler, and Adrian Medlin. I mean, Zach, these 4 drivers still can't get away from one another.
They really cannot. They have just been stacked up, and Jonathan Woods into the wall again. Like we seen earlier in the race, that was a tough break for him there, as it really checked him up. But man, it's almost 4 wide here, and Andrew Medlin looking to go through the middle here with a 3 wide action with the 8 getting checked up.
And let's go to our Medlin cam, as he's going to be in this 18 machine. The Interstate's battery able to slide by and get by the 8. But now setting up how to get by Jonathan Woods and Will Bustler. Jonathan Woods, remember earlier on in this race, he found himself getting to the outside wall, as he was able to recover from that incident and get the fresh rubber. It's allowed him to fix up a little bit of this 41 machine. That of Andrew Medlin, focused, ready, and utilizing the draft to its fullest potential. But you don't want to be too close, because you can be turning that driver in an instant if you're getting too close like he was there, as the 41 of Jonathan Woods still defends for 11th position. Updates for further drivers. I know one of our fan favorites, that Dylan Glass, he was not able to finish out tonight's race. He's actually pulled it into pit road. Called it a night. Hate to see that for the 29 machine, who was hoping for a top 15 run here tonight. Looks to not be the case, as you see both the hands of the driver inside the sim and in real life.
Yeah, this is a cool little shot right here. I mean, both got on blue gloves too, so matching stylistically there for sure. And it's cool to see the 2 different things. I mean, and Andrew Medlin got the headrest and everything. I mean, he is matching so well there with his car, and even got the Freaky Fast t-shirt on there too, so repping the best broadcast group out there, man. So gotta love the driver cams, and Andrew Medlin's definitely one of our favorites out there.
And Andrew Medlin's rocking the gray Freaky Fast t-shirt. I have got the black one on currently for today's broadcast, and if you would like to get yourself a Freaky Fast broadcasting t-shirt, it's the best way to help us here at the broadcast team. Go get your merch today. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, and more. Go check out Store Frontier today. We'll have the link also in the chat for you. Thank you so much to everyone that's already purchased that t-shirt or hoodie. As back to the coverage on screen, 85 laps into this race, 20 drivers out on track, 20 drivers on the lead lap. And still, the racing is aggressive. You got different pods of drivers running hard around one another. Some drivers in their own lane, as you see here, of Aaron Hale, as well as Diego Valle and Joshua Robinson, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Oh, pretty equally spaced out between one another. Taking it easy. As I say that, though, looks like for that Valle, backing off just slightly, giving an opportunity here for Joshua Robinson.
Yeah, Valle here having an opportunity here open up for Robinson, like you said, and we'll see if he can make it work again. We've seen that bottom be quick, but it's just not quick enough on the exits to make that outside really have a tough time. So Robinson qualified fourth. I think a telltale sign is that he's been dropping back all night long there, and see if he can make the most out of what he's had. But the driver you got to feel a lot for, the 15 of Christopher Wade. After that contact with him and Timmy McNally, he's just been struggling to make speed here tonight. And while I'm saying that, it is heating up on pit road. Dylan Grimm, our leader, he's coming down.
Dylan Grimm into pit road. He was one of the earlier drivers that hit pit road on that first initial spree. And coming into pit road now, Zach, I mean, this is obviously you must feel like he wants to have a bigger gap moving forward. I feel like you got to kind of do the opposite after your first pit stop. He was the early one last time. You would have thought maybe you would have wanted to push it out a little bit further on that second stop to be equal with Kyle McCoy. Now Kyle McCoy, he can stay out as long as he wants, recognizing the advantage on tires is massive, but he's only going to wait one lap. Here comes McCoy into pit road.
Well, it's like these two are ready for a Imano battle. They're worried about each other, and that could be an issue. That's where drivers like Ross Tatum, you know, other ones could really look to make the most of it. But as I say that, Ross Tatum, he took no time to waste. He comes down also along with Diego Valle. So these drivers are seeing, I think, that overcut strategy just hasn't worked out for them. They're looking to make the undercut this time.
And for that, Ross Tatum, he was closing in. He was almost to a second and a half distance between himself and to our leaders. So he's trying not to lose any more ground. That's why he's coming into pit road with that of the 28 machine. With that of Kyle McCoy. As Dylan Grimm trying to get back out there on track. We're currently watching the battle for the lead as this pit cycle is underway. Thomas Ogle, Zach Kreitz, battling one another. The advantage, slightly you can give it to the 9 machine, but both these drivers at a point where these tires have plateaued, and it is an equal battle for what was originally the battle for that of 4th and 5th. Now it's for the lead.
I feel like Ogle is one of the hottest drivers in the series right now. He's just been so consistent every single place we go. Of course, the win last week at the National Fairgrounds. Ogle has shown that he is going to be a championship contender this season and be right in the mix when it comes down to it. And Kreitz even along with him. I mean, I feel like Kreitz, he is really gone leaps and bounds compared from last season, because we used to talk, I think, about him mostly last season, where he's a driver that gained so much time over a short run course of period, and he gained a lot of spots, but he's kind of changed his style, in my opinion. As you can see the new tires going around. Whew, those are so fast compared to them. I think they waste no time to come down, but just got to applaud Kreitz for changing up his style and really being able to make the most of older tires now.
That he certainly has, as got that of Aaron Hale leading the way now for his 40 machine, who we've seen in other leagues that we've covered before. His 40 has shown that he can run in very much in any car he wants and is very consistent at times. Excited to see how well he can run here this evening, as for that of Hale tonight, this 40 machine just trying to stay in the top 10. Seems to be a simple task, as he's going to be thinking about hitting pit road here very shortly, as we got ourselves 6 drivers that have not come to pit road. That's Aaron Hale, Jason Gratton, Trey Jackson, as well as going to be Nate Lynch, Mike Lynch, and George Kovacic in the 66, as the 40 machine leads the way. Actually, nice battling for the drivers that are still out there on track. Trey Jackson actually has made the pass for third place. Then you also got Jason, got that of Gratton, Nate Lynch, Jackson. These 3 drivers for position, and they're also having drivers that are on fresh rubber trying to get around them.
That they are. As fresh rubber's mixing things up here, and you're going to see the difference in the speed. I mean, these drivers are just holding on, while the drivers on new tires, they have tons of grip. And Will Bustler in the 6, he's looking to take advantage of that new grip and go around this group here and not lose too much time. That's one of the things. It's all about timing of where you catch the older tires. And right now, Bustler, right there on the back bumper of the 41 of Woods. And those two with the new tires are just driving away there from Trey Jackson in the 25.
Pulling away, feeling comfortable as that 25 fresh rubber. He's got that of, like I said, over 10 laps with better tires than Nate Lynch. Going to be that of 15 lap fresher tires than Jason Gratton. Into pit road, going to be the 40 machine of Aaron Hale for himself. Going to be dropping us down to just that of 5 drivers yet to come into pit road. And when will we see those 5 make their stand in pit road for themselves? I mean, at this point, Zach, I mean, if you are Trey Jackson, you are in a very odd situation. Knowing the fact that he is going to be about 10 laps shy for making it to the end of this race on fuel, and as well going to be in a spot where he could try to push it out and run out of fuel until waiting for a caution, which in one hand is a great position to feel, but also it's a double-sided sword. You are going to be hurting yourself if there is no caution that comes out.
Been in this situation many a times myself where you're kind of like, man, if I stick to the strategy I'm on, you know, and it plays out green, I'm going to be in a way worse case scenario than what I could be. But at the same time, sometimes you just got to risk it. You know, if the caution was to come out before we get to around lap 120, he could be looking to, you know, transfer to the lead. Because right now, from the drivers that have pitted, he's got about 12 seconds. And in my opinion, he should be able to hold on to this lead for at least the next 11 to 12 laps here. And I mean, at that point, you might as well just wait. I think at this point, Trey Jackson's got to go for some type of different off-the-wall strategy and use this ability here to try to see if we get a yellow. You never know in racing when that yellow flag could fly, and it very well could be the one that really helps out his night.
Currently, right now, going to be only about 3 drivers at this time that still need to come to pit road. Trey Jackson, who's leading the way in the 25, going to be the first. Then it's Jason Gratton in second place, but then all the way back in 5th. Already has been passed by drivers that are coming to pit road. It's George Kovacic in the 66, who's still searching for his first top 15 finish, and now hitting into pit road is that Route 66 machine. George Kovacic trying to hit his marks to have a good run. Gonna have fresher tires in his competition. And again, searching for that first top 15 finish. And if some other drivers find mistakes, could be finding himself trying to have his best finish of the season. His best was all the way back in Daytona, 16th place. We'll see if he can get that 15th spot.
We'll have to see what eludes if it gets into position where he can grab that here tonight. But also another driver yet to pit still. And it has about 8 laps, in my opinion, until he has to pit. That's Jason Gratton in the 8 machine, still in second. So we'll see when does he elect to come down. Maybe looking to run a similar strategy to Trey Jackson, even though he can't go as far as Jackson because he pitted much earlier than him. But we know you can go around to laps 60 laps. So he's got about 7 more left in the tank with it being on lap 53 of this stint for him. But he does have some concerns there because it's Kyle McCoy and Dylan Grimm about 4 seconds behind him, closing in super quickly. And through the whole sequence, McCoy really went out big. He pitted a lap later, and now he's ahead of Dylan Grimm.
Yeah, Dylan Grimm, I think, kind of went with a little bit more of a patient approach on those tires. Was not willing to defend the position as aggressively as he did the first go-around, which could come back to bite him. But for that of the 17, he now knows what it's like to be on both sides of the coin, where he was defending and being aggressive. Same for that of Kyle McCoy. So both drivers got equal distance on being the leader and being the attacker. So now we'll see how they want to attack as we're coming to 33 laps to go. Trey Jackson, Jason Gratton still need to come into pit road for both of them. They, for our first and second place position, they cannot make it to the end of this race. They have to come into pit road for the 8 machine. That is in the next 5 laps. For the 25, he can still go another 20 laps before he will have to come into pit road. So a lot of decisions are going to be made here quickly as the 28 and the 17. Zach, this is going to be the first time for Jason Gratton here on this run. He's going to have the lead lap driver, Jason Gratton. If they catch up to the 8 machine in time, could try to use the 8 as a pick to make the pass for the lead, for what could be the lead.
This could very well be that opportunity. You got to take every chance you have available to you. And with the speed they're catching them, they might catch him right here on the exit of the corner. And luckily for Kyle McCoy, he's going to have the exit to him, but it's going to be the 17, actually, a Grimm, who gets held up a little bit there as he could not slide out towards that wall and carry the momentum like he'd like. So Kyle McCoy able to get by that one there first, but Trey Jackson 6 seconds up the road. They'll catch him at some point here. And the one thing I do have kind of like I scratched my head about a little bit is how much time Ross Tatum lost through all of those pit sequence. He pitted on the same lap as Kyle McCoy, and he had it down to, like you said, about a 1.5 second gap. It's about 4 seconds back now to Ross Tatum. He is not had the greatest sequence when it comes to pits, and even upwards of 5 seconds for him. So tough break for Ross Tatum, but still could come up with a solid top 3 here if this plays out the same way.
Yeah, and I believe a lot of that is under actual race. While he was under pit lane, he lost about that of going to be about a second just under pit road speed of him trying to get into his box, and as well on the exit of trying to get out of pit road and getting back onto the racing surface. There were some mistakes by the 21 that really cost him way more time than he wanted, because on the entry, he also had some great runs where he was trying to keep up with the leaders, but simple mistakes, costly, and it's not the worst thing in the world for the 21, the Ross Tatum. I mean, he's looking great points-wise to make it into the playoffs, but certainly not the exact run that he wanted here tonight to go for a win here at Chicagoland. But right now it is the top 2 drivers that are going to be trying to go for the win. That of Kyle McCoy, Dylan Grimm, Jason Grattan has come into pit road for the 8 machine, and now it's all down to the 25. When will he come into pit road? Here's another great battle. It's the 31 of Thomas Ogle, Kyle Bowling for 5th place.
Well, they better watch out for Ogle, because he is coming forward. He might have a chance to go up there and get Ross Tatum in the 21 machine for a top 3 position. So we'll see how that shakes out, because Ogle, much fresher tires than the group ahead of him, about 3 laps difference for him in that 31 machine. So we'll see how that works out. But this is the one thing I love about green flag races like this. You got to be perfect everywhere. It doesn't just matter about how fast you're on the racetrack. If you can't get in and out of pit road better than your competition, that could very well be the difference between you finishing in one position or one position higher. So it's really, I think, a factor that not a lot of people think about when they come into races, but getting in and off of pit road is such a crucial part when you have these long green flag stops and these runs like this.
And, those simple mistakes, so easy to make. I mean, especially, I don't think drivers really practice that aspect as much as you would think of trying to have as fast as you can be, exit out of pit road. I know some drivers like to practice their entries. That's always what it seems to be, one of the last things drivers really try to perfect after a good practice run is the 32, close to that outside wall, trying to defend that of Zach Kreitz. Kreitz has the positioning on the inside, but can he make the pass here? As he's going to have the extra grip on the center of the corner, and there goes the 9. Scott Ricker just not looking comfortable here tonight, as he was one of the drivers that's come to victory lane here at Chicagoland in past seasons, back in season 2 when they were in the trucks. Not looking as confident here this evening. But Zach, back to that of trying to find practicing times for the exit of pit road. I mean, I don't really see that many drivers trying to practice that aspect of the racing in and out.
You really don't. I know you myself, that is something I think a lot of drivers, even myself, I feel like need to work on, is just executing pit road, and not just the entry. Like you said, that's what all of us think about. How fast can I get into pit road without overspeeding into that entry? But also that exit off the pit lane, exit all around the apron. If you can carry, multiple amounts of mile per hour more than somebody around there, that could be the difference between you jumping them and not. So pit road is a crucial space, not only on entry but also on the exit, but getting into your box. There's just so many things that you can do. And I know one thing that another driver out there I've seen before do this, they call it the pit lap gauntlet, where you pretty much come into pit road every single lap, exit every single lap, and just hit your box, take the tires, take off, and go again, and over and over and over again. And that will train it into your brain of how to get in and out of pit road. But it is it's easier said than done, personally. I mean, it's something I think a lot of us drivers out there on the sim should take advantage of, because we have that opportunity to get endless amounts of laps. There's no, mechanics or nothing holding us back from going out there and not being able to try this stuff. So I think the best ones out there go out and attempt it, and it really shows when they see them come to pit road.
And it certainly does. As here's a little bit of drama action. It's the 2 of Mike Lynch, first driver 1 lap down, doing what he can do, and that's be aggressive with our leaders, because this 2 machine trying to unlap himself as we are closing in on 20 laps to go. And this is going to be where a decision has to be made for Trey Jackson, because He's only got a 2-second gap over this 28 machine, but Mike Lynch trying to make the pass on that Dylan Grimm, losing time for the 17. We'll see how much time it's going to be lost here as the 2 is going to be trying to get by the 28.
Going to try to unlap himself to the 28 machine, but he's still got to get past Trey Jackson, who's up about 2 seconds up the road. But with these newer tires, Mike Lynch should easily be able to do that. And Trey Jackson also probably about within 8 laps of having to come down to pit road to get that pit stop done. So Mike Lynch looks good to unlap himself. But like you said, he's in every right and every opportunity to do this. And this would help him if a caution was to come out with him being ahead of these guys. He wouldn't have to start at the tail end of the longest line with that lucky dog that you get. So he's got to try to do it the best he possibly can, nice and clean. And off of 2 with a nice run there, he's able to get that maneuver done. And heading into 3, he should have the grip to clear the 28.
Gonna have the slide job move to get in front of the 28. 28 machine Kyle McCoy gonna be trying to get rolling again for himself. Trey Jackson gonna be hitting pit road. And that is going to be the pass to get back on the lead lap for Mike Lynch. Now, how much of this dirty air is going to hurt our leader? Because we got 20 laps to go with the 25 not able to make it as far as he wanted. It is now down to a duel between Kyle McCoy, Dylan Grimm. Who is going to get the win here tonight at Chicagoland?
It seems like McCoy has had the upper hand during this run, has just been able to solidify himself and pull a gap here to about 0.7 of a second back to Dylan Grimm, but it ain't over yet. We got about 10 minutes still left in this race, and that's plenty of time for Grimm to put up a fight here coming down to the end of this event. So we still can see it start to happen, but I think Kyle McCoy has just been so consistent ever since that first run. He really did have some struggles on the longer portion of that run, but it seems like he's cleaned it up as this race has went on. The rubber is laid down on the surface, and it seems like the wear hasn't been as bad. I think he's going to be a tough person to beat here coming down to the end as we check out this 10 machine of Josh Robinson. He's made his way back up to 9th. He's got Aaron Hill directly ahead of him, but with the older tires, I don't think he's going to have anything for the 40 ahead of him, so he may have to just settle for a 9th place position here tonight.
Yeah, this is kind of disappointing for the 10 machine with how well he qualified. Qualified 4th, but just gave up so much ground in that first about 20 laps of this race. Lost touch to our front runners and never was able to recover from that positioning. And he's now running in 9th place, yes, but he's been stuck around that 10th place position for most of the race. Hoping to gain an even better spot as Aaron Hale's ahead of him, but be seeing how well he can just hold on as Hale's got the fresher rubber. Here's going to be Diego Valle, who has done the opposite of what he's done all season long. Usually it's qualify all the way back in last place or close to last place and then work his way up into a top 10 finish and sometimes even a top 5 finish. Here tonight, qualified well in 8th spot, but now running in 10th, trying to continue on with the great top 10 finishes. But Zach, the 77 here tonight, obviously a little bit over aggressive, and that's what's been hurting him here this evening.
It's been an interesting take, I feel like, for him the past, really ever since he's gotten that win. You know, looking back to then, it's been kind of hit or miss. You know, he has had the bad qualifying run still and always seems to gain positions, but tonight with a good qualifying run, you're like, oh man, this is looking good and looking up for him because we know he races better than he qualifies. But it just hasn't been the case. It's just been a tough night tonight. And I think, like you said, just a little too over-aggressive on the tires. And that's just been the tell of the tape, in my opinion, for him for really the second half ever since he's gotten that win. It's just been kind of just overworking the tires, not able to have that same long-run speed we see him capable of earlier in the season. And that might even be a case of, he felt comfortable in this car to start the season off. And with these guys changing a car every single season, it makes it where guys that are more comfortable take off better at the beginning, but other guys are starting to adapt now, and I think that's kind of shown maybe a little bit of a weakness in the 77.
As we get to see deeper in the field, Will Bustler in the 6 machine going to be pressured by that 18 of Andrew Medlin. This is for that 12th place position again. For that of Andrew Medlin, going to be trying to make the inside lane work as he's going to be having actually slightly older tires than that of the 6 machine. But Will Bustler been very aggressive. This group of drivers have been around one another all night long with Jonathan Woods, Will Bustler, and that of Andrew Medlin as well as Nate Lynch. They have been clustered up. It was Joshua Robinson who was the other driver that made it a group of 4. But it's going to be Christopher Wade, who's currently 1 lap down, just floundering on where he's at after the contact between the 15 and the 12 earlier on. For that of Christopher Wade, that is not the way that he thought tonight's race was going to go. Currently in 19th position and just having to watch his competition drive on by.
Especially with some of the speed we've seen at 1.5 miles. He's been one of the quicker drivers. You know, I look back to Texas, he was very, very strong there and just hasn't had the night, and that contact has got to play a good factor into that, in my opinion, because that right front fender is a good bit torn up on that car. And even with the pit stops he's made, it's been under green flag situations, so he hasn't been able to just sit there and wait for him to fix it. Or, you know, that's tough. When you're a driver, you're like, man, I want to get this thing fixed up, but you just don't have the time under green flag scenarios to do that because it's just so much time lost on track that you'll probably not be able to make back up even with the damage fixed. So he's in a tough situation, but he'll have to just make what he can of tonight and move on to next week. But Nate Lynch here in 14th, he showed a lot of speed early in this race. Is showing good speed here once again, but does have a good bit fresher tires than the group ahead of him. He's running out of time to catch him, Sam, but about 5 seconds with the speed he's showing, it doesn't look like it's going to be possible.
No, in this race, it was very important for that of Nate Lynch. Due to the fact that we are closing in closer and closer to the playoffs, this one machine was finding himself 9th place in points, but that 9th place is kind of a shell of a spot to have because Dylan Grimm, Kevin O'Keefe, who has not shown up here tonight and also wasn't here another race before, and as well Kyle Bowling, all within just a few points of one another. One bad race like tonight could put the one from 9th in points all the way down to that 12th place position, where he's got some hungry wolves that are right on the cusp, and one of those drivers that's trying to make his way in, Kyle McCoy. He has a win already this season, leading today's race. Kyle McCoy almost needs to win every single race this season, and he could potentially point his way in to the playoffs, which is the only way he can do so due to the fact that he's not shown up for enough races. He's missed too many, so that of the 28 must point his way if he's going to make it in the playoffs.
Well, we know how well he gets at the end of seasons and near the end of regular seasons. I would not put it past the 28 to be able to do something like that, folks. It seems like, again, the schedule always just seems to be more in his favor as the season clicks on. He gets more used to the car. The tracks suit him a little better, and he could very well point his way in, and then we have some fireworks to fly for those playoffs. We'll see if he'll be able to make majority of those races to see if he can move on. But right now we're looking at really the driver who's been the fastest car on the racetrack when it comes to this top 5 positions, and it's Thomas Ogle. He's closed down to a 2-second gap now, Sam, on to Dylan Grimm. He may have an opportunity to go for a top 2 as Grimm has really dropped off the back of the 28.
Yeah, I think for Dylan Grimm, he was kind of hoping that maybe he could have made a very aggressive push, but about that of 5 laps ago, tried his first attempts to try to make a pass on Kyle McCoy, and it did not work out. The tires overcooked, and now the 31, if this race continues to stay green, has an opportunity to even make a pass for second place. Dylan Grimm, got to give a heroic run for the 17. He's had his best run so far this season, but for the 31 of Ogle, he is making the charge now within a 1.5 seconds, and it just continues to chip away. 7 laps to go, and easily can get caught by the 31 if this race continues to stay green.
You're exactly right. This is not over for sure for second. I mean, it's a 1.5 second gap, but it's already down to 1.3 just through the first portion of this lap, and Ogle continuing to show speed. Now it's going to be tough when he gets there. We've seen all night the outside's the way to defend, but with the lap times that Dylan Grimm is running, he's running a 33.71 to Thomas Ogle's 33.28. I mean, that is a huge difference, and I don't think the outside will matter that much to make the pass for the Ogle. If he can just get there, that's going to be the case.
I think at the rate that he's going, probably going to be on 4 to 3 to go is when Ogle's going to make that pass for second place. And the rate that he's going, if there was another 10, maybe 15 more laps, Thomas Ogle could have been a factor to even catch up to our leader at the rate that he's going. He is flying right now, one of the fastest drivers all season long on the long run. It is Thomas Ogle riding on board the 31 machine as he's seeing the 17 get bigger and bigger. It's almost down to a 0.5 second now on the exit of turn 2.
This is amazing to see. Ogle, like you said, been one of the best drivers when it comes to the long runs. I think he's kind of been the second best driver in my mind when it comes to the season on longer runs with him and Andrew Hess. Both of them being teammates, I'm not too surprised. They must be trading some pretty good notes there between them. But right here, once again, Ogle showing why he's got 2 wins already this season at Dover and the Nashville Fairgrounds. He has just got that ability to keep coming as the run goes on, and now it's only down to 0.3 of a second. I mean, he's there. This is going to be almost a deal done already for these guys, and Ogle going to be looking to get another top 2 finish here.
And Thomas Ogle, I mean, if Kyle McCoy doesn't find a way to get into the playoffs, this 31, like you said, Zach, I mean, he has been a threat all season long, and he could be the biggest threat as we're closing in into the playoffs. 3 to go here tonight. Thomas Ogle, will it be this corner or will it be the next, as he is right on the back bumper, going to run the outside lane, trying to set up, going to dive down low, back into the throttle, and you can just see the better grip, the better exit speed, and the 31 is right there, setting up for that of the slide job move, down into turn number 3, the 31, set up, clean, set, and give him the position as he gets back into the throttle. The car just sticks, and Thomas Ogle, the second place.
What a move. I love what he did there. He drove into one on the back bumper, entered the same line as the 17 so he could carry a good run off the exit, but turned down to get the clean air and just had the momentum off the exit of 2 and made the excellent pass for second place. But the guy they all wanted to catch wasn't the one they were able to, because this 28, he's been clean selling.
It was all the way back in July of 2022 when these drivers, all the way back in season 1, ran the ARCA car here at Chicagoland. And now the white flag is out in the air. It's your freaky fast white flag for Kyle McCoy as he heads down into turns 1 and 2. What a run it's been for this 28 machine. It's been a conquering type of a season at times. He's looked dominant at moments. He's struggled at other times. It's been growing pains at the start of the season, but it's been like that for almost every season we watch for Kyle McCoy. But tonight, for the Shamrock 200, and the exit at turn number 4, give him Chicagoland once again. Kyle McCoy, a 2-time winner for season 6 of the Stars and Stripes throwback season.
What a job by him, man, to get that second win. We'll see if he can point himself into those playoffs, because we know he hasn't been able to make all the races, but he's making a case for it for sure. And Ogle with a great second place finish, and Grimm just holding on to 3rd place. I mean, Tatum was 2 tenths behind him there to come through the line. Grimm was running out of tires there.
And honestly, if there was another 5 more laps, Aaron Hale could have been a threat to take 3rd place. That 40 machine was the fastest car on track and was bound to make passes, but just ran out of time. And I think that's the big thing for a lot of these drivers. The timing was the key, and Kyle McCoy pitted a lap after Dylan Grimm for both pit stops, kept himself close, and was able to make the pass cleanly, made the 17 burn up those tires, and it's going to be Kyle McCoy getting the win here tonight at Chicagoland. Congratulations to Kyle McCoy, as we are going to step aside. When we come back, we're talking to our top 2 and a spotlight driver, get their thoughts on tonight's race, as we will be right back and continue to watch the smoke show the 28 gives you as we get prepared for the post-race show. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the Stars and Stripes throwback season on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. 133 laps ran here at Chicagoland for race number 11, and it gives us a two-time winner as Kyle McCoy gets himself into victory lane. And it was a spectacular battle between himself and Dylan Grimm for the most of it. Kyle, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. Congratulations on your second win of the season. How are you feeling after that one?
Hey guys, that was awesome. Always loved winning in Chicago. I've never been in a heavyweight fight for that long. I mean, Dylan and I was back and forth for most of the race. It was fantastic. So, feeling good. That was awesome.
That was a great job by you guys battling up front, put on a show for us there, Kyle. Congrats on the second win of the season there, man. But how crucial do you feel like getting on and off of pit road was there? Because it seemed like you were able to be a lot closer there on that second pit stop.
Oh yeah, I mean, I let my guard down for 2 seconds on that first pit stop and came out 2 seconds behind. I think I probably had an A- pit in and out, and Dylan had an A or A+, and that's all it took to totally swing the fences. So I had to work my butt off to get back to him, and then had to really push it that second time around. And yeah, I made up some ground and was close enough there to be on a lap pressure tires and get the pass made. I don't know what happened to him at the end. I thought it was going to be a little tighter than that. I wasn't sure if he was saving or if maybe he caught the wall one of those times and knocked the right front off it. But I don't know. It was super close for most of that race, and it was a game of inches on a 1.5-mile track, which is not usual, but it always happens in this league. So it was fun.
I mean, Kyle, Chicagoland, we look at the past stats, this track, pretty well known for going caution free, but you found yourself in victory lane here all the way back in season 1. We've seen you do this before where you've ran well at tracks that you ran previously well back in season 1. How does it feel for you personally, taking that nostalgia of I ran so well at these courses in past seasons and trying to translate that to this current season when there's been so many updates since all the way back in that 2020 year when season 1 was being ran?
Yeah, I think this race here, I was having some serious deja vu back to season 1 because I remember it going fairly similar. I don't know how many cautions we had in that race. There wasn't very many. Had kind of a smaller field tonight, so you knew you were going to go green for a while. And it was vintage stars where I don't think the races earlier in the season have been that way. I haven't felt like they've been that. They felt like season 1 just because like you said, all the updates, new drivers, new teams, a whole bunch of different set of circumstances. But this one here was, kind of vintage Stars and Stripes, and that's my bread and butter. So yeah, it was fun kind of to get back to the norm a little bit.
Well, Kyle, it was awesome to watch you dueling with that Dylan Grimm here this evening. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, shout out to my teammates, Nate, George, and Derek. We had a decent night tonight, I think. Shout out to you guys for putting on a fantastic broadcast. Shout out to Dylan. I mean, he ran a heck of a race. That was an insane race. It was really fun. 20 laps there. It was some of the most fun racing I've had on iRacing, and it always seems to happen at this track. Shout out to everybody watching, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for a crazy one at Five Flags, I think. So.
We can't wait for it. Again, congratulations on the win there, Kyle. And yeah, Five Flags is our next destination, and good luck at that short track.
Thank you, guys.
As that's going to be your winner here tonight, the 28 machine of Kyle McCoy. As we go to victory lane, we now head to that second place for Thomas Ogle, one of the fastest drivers there late in the run, but he was only able to move up to that second position. We got Thomas Ogle with us in the 31 machine. Thomas, what a run for yourself here tonight. Second place, you qualified 9th, but man, that last stint, you were flying there at the end. How are you feeling coming away with second place?
That's my best 1.5-mile run of the season. I was just glad to, honestly, once I got in the top 5, I was sort of happy with that. I've had such horrible luck on these 1.5 miles, but then I kind of broke loose of everybody the last run, and Dylan was like 4 seconds ahead, and all of a sudden I started chopping. I was like, oh boy, I think I might have something.
Well, Thomas, man, you seem to have that ability just to really chop it down there as the run goes on. I mean, Do you feel like the track went through any changes here tonight or anything like that? Because it just seemed like you got better and better as the race did go on.
I feel like it loosened up as we went. I don't know whether it was just clean air or just it loosened up. I actually put a little front brake back in it. I don't think everybody else was using brake. I was using brake almost the whole run, which I gave up so much that first run. I gave up like 4 seconds, and I kind of spent the rest of the race making it up, if that makes sense. I kind of ran long a little bit on the pit stops to have fresher tires, so when I did catch guys, but it definitely changed a lot.
That it definitely did. I mean, Thomas, we were talking about it up in the booth there late in the race. I mean, looking at how you've been getting faster and faster on the long runs, you've been that fast since the start of the season, but it just seems like you're finding your groove pretty well here as we're heading closer and closer to the playoffs. Are you feeling like one of the top dogs as we get closer to the playoffs, or are you still trying to keep it pretty humble of just take it race by race?
Those guys are like all of Kyle's and Ross. Those guys just seem to manage their race better than me. A little bit cooler under pressure, maybe. If we can get to Bristol and I'm close, I got a shot. But these 1.5 miles, then I think we have a road course coming up, so it's gonna be tough. I don't think wouldn't consider myself one of the top dogs. Those guys are really good.
They certainly are, but you performed well and got second place here tonight. Congratulations on that. Before we let you go, the floor's now yours for any shout outs.
I want to thank Josh and Brian Lynch. We were both in the chat, and it's nice to have guys you can bounce stuff off of. I want to thank Andrew for going to Vegas for work because I didn't have to pass him. Kind of hurt our team, but I didn't have to pass him. But thank you guys for broadcasting, and thank Nate and all the guys, all the admins that put the league on.
Well, that is going to be the 31 machine of Thomas Ogle. Congratulations on second place here tonight, and good luck next week as we head to Five Flag Speedway.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Well, as we go from second place, let's go to third place for our spotlight driver, as that of Dylan Grimm had one of his best runs of the season, but coming up in third place, tied with his best finish of the season. Dylan, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. You come away third, but man, were you having a great duel out there with Kyle McCoy for most of this run? How are you feeling after a third place finish here tonight?
I'm feeling a little bit dejected, honestly. Racing up there with Kyle was a lot of fun. That last run, I just pitted too early and used up my tires way too much, and yeah, screwed myself out of first. But that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. That is how it goes sometimes, Dylan, man. But it's still a valiant effort to have a good run here tonight. I mean, we saw you run Kyle down in that first run. Do you feel like it was just a different, as the race went on, the track changing, or do you feel like it was just more down to your driving that changed the long run pace for you?
Yeah, I think it was a lot about tires, but also everyone just figuring the race out as we went on. Me and Kyle were definitely more even that second run, and he was also a lap ahead on tires, but I think everyone was still figuring things out, and by the end of it, everyone had their lines run for how to save tires and everything, but it didn't work out for me, unfortunately.
Well, for Dylan, I know after tonight's race, we got 4 more races until we have our playoffs starting up. And out of those 4 races, we got 2 short tracks where you've been looking really good at the short tracks that we go to so far. How are you feeling heading into these next 4 races, though, knowing that you're not 100% locked into the playoffs, but with today's performance, it does assist you. But how are you feeling with these next 4 races?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I like the short tracks with these cars. I think we got 5 flags next week. I don't have a ton of laps around there, but I feel pretty confident I can figure it out. So hopefully I can get a win at one of those 2 places. And Darlington too is coming up. I like that track, so hopefully we can have some more good runs and make the playoffs.
We're hoping for that. Well, Dylan, again, congratulations on third place. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I want to shout out Nate and everyone who puts on this great league. You guys in the booth doing a great job every week. And my papa for spotting for me this season.
Well, that is going to be the 17 machine of Dylan Grimm. Third place finish, his second third place, and best finish so far this season. Hopefully, we'll see you run well next week as we are heading to 5 flags there, Dylan. And again, congratulations on third tier tonight.
Yep, thank you guys.
Well, as we go from our interviews, let's take a look at the unofficial results here tonight. As a big thanks to our top 3 for coming up in the booth for the interviews, that of Kyle McCoy, Thomas Ogle, and Dylan Grimm being those top 3. The rest of the field, though, they had their own charges up and down the field. Ross Tatum going to be surviving for that of 4th. 5th going to be Zach Kreitz. Kyle Bowling's going to be in 6th. 7th goes to Aaron Hale. Scott Rickard in 8th. 9th going to be that Joshua Robinson. And Diego Valle going to be finishing out your top 10. But Zach, I mean, if you look at the middle of our top 10, they were all within about a second and a half of one another.
It is crazy to think that, like, 133 lap screen and they're that close, Sam. So, yeah, it just shows you how close and competitive this field really is. And it just shows you how hard you got to work to get down and have these good finishes. There's a few guys farther back just couldn't get it figured all out tonight. We had the early incident between Christopher Wade and Tim. Now that drops them down 20th and 23rd. But just a tough racetrack. But some really great driving out there that really put on a show for us, with a completely green race. When it's usually green like that, we see bigger spreads throughout the field. But like you said, that top 10 really was just mired with drivers all stacked up on top of each other.
That they were. But man, Chicagoland, a third time in a row. Season 2, Season 4, and tonight. 3 races out of the 4 that have been ran here at Chicagoland, completely clean and green from start to finish. We saw a couple of incidences that didn't bring out a yellow, but what a run here tonight. But Zach, I gotta say, next week, I'm not expecting the same scenario of a green flag race all the way through. We are heading to one of the best short tracks in iRacing, to 5 Flag Speedway.
One of my favorite short tracks also. This place is an amazing facility. It's the home of the Snowball Derby everybody's heard of. And it can put on a really good race, in my opinion. That track has a lot of character. It's a short track that has lots of opportunities for drivers to go out there and find the speed. But I think, like you said, not going to be a race where I think we see that yellow flag not fly. I think a few times during that race, we may have a little bit of the bumper usage that may lead to that yellow flag being prevalent.
And also, who could hold off on the exit of the corners? Well, again, thank you for joining us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for your Thursday night coverage of the Stars and Stripes throwback season. If you want to see more racing coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we got some more racing coverage later on this weekend, as it's going to be Saturday night for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series, as they're going to be getting themselves ramped up, as it's still the beginning half of their season, and drivers trying to figure out how to stop Vincent Sora, as that we got to see a little bit of a chink in his armor last Saturday, as that of Aaron Smith II got himself into victory lane. But if you also want to see other racing coverage that we have here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, it's Monday through Thursday, starting off with Monday, where we have that of the ISRC Truck Series, the Full Send Racing Truck Series, as well as the Wicked Racing League on Wednesday. Then we're right back here Thursday night for that of the Stars and Stripes throwback season. Tons of great coverage throughout the week. And Zach, any of your final thoughts before we get out of here from Chicagoland?
Well, great job by everybody here. 3rd straight race in a row, like you said, here at Chicagoland, where it goes green all the way to the end of the event. So really impressive driving all around from the drivers, but I can't wait till we get to 5 Flags next week, where we can see some short track action, and it will be with the regular 550 package. So we'll see who can take claim of that, because we've seen Ogle last time with the 800 horsepower package. He won at Nashville Fairgrounds just a mere week ago. Could it play out a little bit different? I very well think so. So make sure you tune back in there, folks, as we're going to have a great time here at Stars and Stripes.
Can't wait for it. But for tonight, thank you for joining us once again. The Stars and Stripes throwback season. Race number 11 is in the books, and we have another two-time winner in the series. It's now Kyle McCoy in the 28, the three-time champ. Back into victory lane. It just looks like we're back to where we were before. But for this evening, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us. We'll see you on our next broadcast Saturday night with the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series.